Hi, everyone. I'm Mike Chen, author of Star Wars Brotherhood, and welcome to Forbidden Planet TV.
Welcome to Forbidden Planet TV. I'm Andrew Sumner. I'm very pleased to be here today with journalist, pop culture journalist, sports journalist, novelist, Star Wars fan and expert, Mike Chen. How you doing, mate?
Hello, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Hey, thanks so much for joining me, mate. And we are very excited at Forbidden Planet and at Forbidden Planet TV about your new Star Wars novel, Brotherhood, which ticks some amazing Star Wars boxes. So what can you tell me about the novel, Mike?
So it takes place shortly after Attack of the Clones. I would say also shortly after the newly released Queen's Hope by E.K. Johnston. So that's a
Yeah.
good prerequisite if you want to get the complete experience, because there are ties between Queen's Hope and my book. And it's about Anakin and Obi-Wan, and on an emotional level, Anakin has just been elevated to Jedi Knight. Obi-Wan has been tasked to assist the Council. So they are equals, and they're not quite sure how to handle that. And Anakin's processing a lot. He's just dealt with, his mother on Tatooine. He's lost his arm. He's married. The Clone Wars are happening, and it is just chaos. And in that, there is a disaster on Cato Neimoidia, which, if we all remember from the Clone Wars, is a technically neutral system. So Obi-Wan is tasked with diplomacy, Anakin is tasked with Jedi Knight activities, and of course, shenanigans happen, and they get brought back together.
How did it feel when you realised the assignment that you were going to get, or the novel that you were going to get, was this part of the lore?
So my agent called me. I'll go back a little bit. So when I first signed with my agent, we talked about like what are my pie in the sky like dream projects, and I said a prequel era Star Wars project. Like that is what I want to write. And so he's known this for years, and he knows the Del Rey team, and so he's put my name in there quite a bit. And I kind of got an audition piece with the From a Certain Point of View anthology, and with that, when I first got the list of characters that I could do for that anthology, I asked the editor, I'm like, why is Palpatine still available? And he's like, I think people are intimidated to write Palpatine. And so I wrote 4 or 5 different pitches of like all these different side characters from The Empire Strikes Back. But then I wrote one pitch for Palpatine, and I thought, like, if you're gonna shoot your shot, shoot your shot. And so I wrote a pretty intense personal story of Palpatine and Anakin. Um, and I figured, like, well, at the very least, I've left my mark. But also, like, I tied in so much stuff in there to like Clone Wars and not just original trilogy Vader, but like prequel Anakin. Like, I really wanted to make my mark with that. So when I got the call for this, my agent called. It was funny because I had nothing out on submission at the time. So he calls me, and I actually answered the phone. I said, "Why are you calling? I don't have anything right now." And he goes, "Lucasfilm wants to talk to you." And I'm like, "Oh, okay. Okay, about what?" And he said, "It's about Anakin and Obi-Wan." And like my brain just like melted. So I mean, we're recording this very, very close to launch, and I still can't quite grasp that I've taken control of these characters for a little sliver of time and gotten to like really dive into their heads and define a really important part of who they are.
Yeah, yeah. I mean that must feel wonderful, and to actually, I would say to get to work with. I can't think of two characters. If I was writing Star Wars fiction, I can't think of two characters I want to work with more than the two that you've got.
Yeah, I mean, like, so my basic tiers of who I want to work with, there's like the top tier is Anakin, Obi-Wan, Qui-Gon, Count Dooku, and Ahsoka. Ahsoka's not in this. I mean, this is
Yeah,
before us. So we should clarify for everyone's expectations. This is between Attack of the Clones and the Clone Wars movie.
yeah,
So Ahsoka has not been introduced yet.
got it.
But we definitely, like, there are Count Dooku scenes that I got to, when I
Brilliant,
write,
absolutely brilliant.
and in my head I'm thinking about Christopher Lee's
Yeah,
voice, and that's amazing. There's a lot of internal thought about Qui-Gon Jinn. And so it's like I got to touch on all of these different elements that I really, really loved, and it is the perfect project for me. I could like retire from novel writing, and I will have made my career with this.
I mean, so exciting. What for you, Mike? What was your way into Star Wars? When did you first encounter it?
So I was born in 1978, and I remember like Star Wars was always around because it was the thing that kids were into at the time. I have an older brother, and so I have pictures from I think it's Christmas 1981 where he's getting like well, we're both getting Empire Strikes Back stuff. And I have very distinct memories of like being 4 or 5. And Toys R Us was the big toy chain in America at the time, and I remember very specifically getting the little Hoth playset with the tauntaun with like the slice in him that you could stuff a figure, which makes no sense from like a child's plaything perspective. I saw Return of the Jedi in the theaters. I remember very distinctly being completely disturbed by like when they took the helmet off and seeing like Uncle Festery Anakin Skywalker.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
um,
original Anakin. Yeah,
yeah, and so like with the burned head and everything, like I was not prepared for that at 5 years old. So it's been a part of my life, my entire life, and even like during kind of like the wilderness years, like my friends and I, like we always talked about it. And when Heir to the Empire first came out, like that was a big deal for us. So like we read that, and then like by the time the third novel came out, like we could drive. So we drove to like the mall bookstore, and like they had like a rollout TV, and they were showing the original trilogy on like VHS. And so like it's like everything, like it's been my entire life. God, I even remember like playing with Legos when I was like 7 or 8 and like trying to build my own X-wing and using like the bendy pieces to fold the wings, and they would never sustain the weight of the X-wing like the wings. So it's just been my life. And
yeah.
my wife, when I met my wife for the first time, so this is 2002. So Star Wars was like back in pop culture, but it wasn't like dominant on like t-shirts and everything as it is now. And she wore a Princess Leia shirt like on our first date. So
Wow.
yeah, so we have done Star Wars everything together too, and we've indoctrinated our daughter too.
Very good. Indoctrination is key to
Mhm.
parenthood. I'm an adherent to that myself. And when you look back on, do you have a particularly favourite Star Wars movie or piece of entertainment that really stands out for you?
um yeah, I'm gonna skip the obvious ones because they're obvious, and like I enjoy all the movies. I think like the prequel era is like my favorite because of the complexity of the world building at that stage, even though that was like my second stage of Star Wars. But the thing that I really want to shout out is I've always been fascinated with X-wings. The X-wings are the coolest damn ship on the planet. And so when the X-wing PC games came out in the 90s, the ones like the flight simulator ones, those were like the things that I had been waiting for my entire life. Even though they were like blocky polygon like TIE fighters that you were flying through, it was just the fact that I was sitting in front of my dad's computer, with a joystick, with a keyboard and everything, like flying an X-wing. It was just amazing. And so when they released Star Wars Squadrons like a year or so ago, and it was just like the upgraded modern version of that. And my wife got me VR for Christmas, and so to play Star Wars Squadrons on PlayStation VR, if you like the flight aspect of Star Wars, it's the ultimate experience. I can't even explain it.
Brilliant, mate. I absolutely love it, and I can tell talking to you the reason that Brotherhood, which by the way the hardcover edition is available from the conversation from the links attached to our conversation. The reason Brotherhood has turned out so beautifully well is they got exactly the right guy from the job for the job, a talented writer and a massive Star Wars fan.
I hope so. I mean, like I would say like right now as we record this, like the media has just started to read it,
Yeah,
and I've gotten some very excited DMs on like various accounts from people who, we can't talk publicly about it yet because of the embargo, but they're like, you did this
yeah.
moment. I'm like, I did it right. So
Mate,
that's very gratifying to hear.
you really did. Our books team at Forbidden Planet are just blown away with the book, and congratulations. And once, by the time this airs, I think everybody will have had the chance to. The commentary will be out there, and I'm very pleased for you, mate. I can see how much I can feel how much you love Star Wars. And thanks so much for joining me to talk about Star Wars Brotherhood, written by the one and only Mike Chen. He's right here, and you can order from links attached. And by the way, anybody watching this, if you want another book recommendation from me, I would really strongly recommend Mike's debut novel, Here and Now and Then, which is a great piece of work, mate. Yeah, great stuff. And this very much carries on that tradition. Brotherhood carries on that tradition of fine writing. So check out Mike's work and check out Brotherhood. And thanks so much for joining me, mate.
Thank you so much for having me. And hello, everyone in the UK. I went to Forbidden Planet in London when I was a student there for about 6 months. And it was really cool. I hadn't seen anything like it before. So I'm really excited to do this.
You are very kind, mate, and I totally agree. Forbidden Planet in London is a unique experience, so the other stores around the country. And thanks for your patronage. And hopefully, mate, once we're the other side of this global catastrophe, hopefully you'll come visit us again.
It's on my to-do list. I can't wait to actually get on a plane somewhere again.
Me too, brother. And on that day, I will look forward to seeing you soon. Take care, Mike. All the very best to you, mate.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
If you're enjoying watching Forbidden Planet TV and you're enjoying watching us talk to the world's most interesting and accomplished filmmakers, authors, artists, musicians, creators, subscribe right here. See you soon.